The doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed for how.
Despite holding credit card privileges, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's time in office has been marred by shocking allegations of misconduct and taxpayer fraud. Recent revelations have painted a disturbing picture of her administration, with evidence of extravagant spending at the town's expense. One such example is a lavish $555,000 party she hosted for Dalton, which included performances by artists like Wyatt and Jay Holiday, who were paid $30,000 and $20,000, respectively, for 3-minute sets. To make matters worse, Henyard's administration spent an additional $36,000 on sound equipment, comedians, and even bouncy houses, costing taxpayers $6,600, despite the event being attended by only around 70 people. This wasteful spending has sparked widespread outrage among residents, with former trustee Valor Stubbs denouncing the event as a self-promotional scheme. Concerned citizen Jennifer Roberts also voiced her frustration, condemning the blatant misuse of public funds. The situation took a more sinister turn when Carmen Carlisle, a former ally turned whistleblower, revealed critical proof of financial mismanagement. Carlisle's testimony, backed by a stack of receipts, painted an even darker picture of Henyard's behavior, exposing how Dalton's funds were drained over a 2-year period due to her reckless financial decisions. Under Henyard's leadership, the town's financial stability collapsed. While she maintained a lavish lifestyle funded by taxpayer money, she was accused of using public funds to finance personal security details, extravagant trips, and a lifestyle resembling that of a Hollywood celebrity, all while Dalton's economy spiraled downward. The FBI has now launched a thorough investigation into Henyard's activities, scrutinizing not only her financial dealings, but also her campaign funds, business ventures, and political connections. The probe has intensified as authorities have expanded their focus to individuals associated with Henyard, suspecting they may have played a role in the alleged corruption. Despite mounting pressure, Henyard has continued to carry out her duties. As usual, seemingly unaffected by the investigation, this apparent detachment from the growing crisis has only fueled public frustration, as it appears she is oblivious to the struggles of the very people she was meant to serve. Activists like Brittany Norwood have voiced their belief that the FBI's intervention, though long overdue, is finally addressing the town's cries for help. The investigation took an even more dramatic turn when Carlisle, the key whistleblower, disclosed a shocking first-hand account of Henyard's misconduct. According to Carlisle, the mayor's extravagant spending and manipulation of public funds over the last 2 years have left Dalton in dire financial straits. As federal agents pieced together the evidence, they uncovered a massive web of corruption connecting Henyard and several of her political allies. Residents, once unaware of the depth of the financial mismanagement, were now confronted with the grim reality that many of those they trusted may have been complicit in the corruption. Henyard's downfall reached a turning point when she voluntarily turned herself in to federal authorities. Her sudden surrender shocked the community, leaving residents questioning her motives. For months, she had maintained a glamorous image, seemingly indifferent to the mounting scandal, but now she was in federal custody. Legal experts speculate that her decision to surrender may be part of a strategy to negotiate a more lenient sentence by offering information about other individuals involved in the alleged schemes. If true, this would mark a significant shift in the case, as Henyard, once thought to be untouchable, now faces the real possibility of legal consequences. Her surrender has given Dalton's residents hope that justice may finally be served, but it has also served as a harsh reminder of the town's financial mismanagement under her leadership. As Henyard now faces federal charges, the people of Dalton are left to pick up the pieces of a town that has suffered immensely. The collapse of its finances has fueled growing mistrust in local leadership, leaving Dalton in desperate need of efforts to restore its financial health and rebuild public confidence. The long-term effects of Henyard's actions are still unfolding, and the investigation into her financial dealings is far from over. Federal officials continue to examine her spending habits, business ties, and overall influence over Dalton's financial management. As more information emerges, it is clear that the story of Henyard's rise and fall is far from finished. The public's demand for justice remains as strong as ever, with many hoping the investigation will bring greater accountability to local government. Despite the challenges ahead, some residents believe there is a path toward rebuilding the community. and restoring trust in its leadership. However, for many, the damage has already been done, and the road to recovery remains long and uncertain. The administration will ultimately determine whether meaningful reforms are enacted in Dalton's government, or if this crisis will simply become another chapter in the town's troubled history. The financial mismanagement, wasteful spending, and self-serving behavior under Tiffany Henyard's leadership have left Dalton in disarray. What was once seen as a powerful and affluent mayoral office has now become a symbol of corruption and reckless governance. Henyard's fall from grace serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, leaving the people of Dalton wondering how their once promising town reached this point. Reports suggest that Henyard's financial irresponsibility was not a sudden development, but rather the culmination of years of poor decisions and self-interest that eventually caught up with her. Despite her previous image as a successful and influential leader, her financial mismanagement is now being exposed in full force. One particularly disturbing report reveals that Henyard allegedly spent $440,000 on Amazon in a single day, highlighting the scale of the financial crisis she presided over. Dalton's financial collapse was so severe that the town had to hire former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to help clean up the mess left behind by Henyard's administration. This unprecedented move underscores the gravity of Dalton's financial situation, which had deteriorated significantly under her leadership. To make matters worse, the Illinois State Comptroller had to intervene to prevent Dalton from receiving $135,000 in crucial funding, a devastating blow to a town already struggling financially. Even after Henyard resigned and turned herself into federal authorities, the town continues to grapple with the fallout from her alleged actions. The situation has been further complicated by legal challenges against those who refuse to cooperate with the investigation. Reports of wrongful termination lawsuits filed by individuals who questioned Henyard's decisions or resisted her authority have only added to the turmoil and frustration among Dalton's residents, many of whom feel betrayed by the very people they elected to serve them. As the investigation unfolds, there is hope that accountability will be achieved, but many residents remain skeptical about the possibility of true reform. Henyard's reckless spending and self-serving behavior have left an indelible mark on Dalton, and it will take time for the town to recover from the damage done under her administration. The financial crisis she created, combined with the erosion of trust in local government, has placed Dalton in a precarious position. The town's residents, once hopeful for a brighter future under Henyard's leadership, now find themselves struggling to rebuild their community. With millions of dollars missing and the town's finances in shambles, the road to recovery appears long and uncertain. The FBI's investigation may bring a sense of justice, but the wounds inflicted by Henyard's actions will take much longer to heal. Her fall from grace is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of holding public officials accountable. While the investigation is far from over, the people of Dalton must pick up the pieces of their shattered community and work to restore both their finances and their faith in local government. Henyard's resignation as Dalton's mayor has done little to alleviate the overwhelming sense of crisis that continues to hover over the town. Her administration, plagued by financial mismanagement, has been further compounded by disturbing allegations of abuse, corruption, and even sexual misconduct, deepening the ethical and legal turmoil surrounding her. In an attempt to deflect blame, Henyard's administration has made counter-accusations against others, but these efforts have done little to quell the rising outrage among residents. One of the most recent developments involves a lawsuit filed by Boone Trish, a former employee, against Henyard, adding another layer of legal trouble to the embattled mayor. The lawsuit has become a symbol of the toxic and authoritarian leadership style that Henyard is accused of fostering, leaving Dalton in a state of dysfunction described by many as hostile and intimidating. Henyard's leadership created an atmosphere of fear within the town's administration, and numerous lawsuits, public condemnations, and now criminal charges paint a bleak picture of a mayoral office run by an abusive and corrupt leader. Beyond financial corruption, disturbing claims of sexual impropriety during official city visits have surfaced, including allegations of sexual assault and intimidation towards employees who dared to challenge her authority. These new revelations have shattered her once polished public image, replacing it with one of exploitation, corruption, and abuse of power. For the residents of Dalton, seeing Henyard in handcuffs has been a moment of vindication. They have long suffered under her leadership, which many now refer to as an era of doom. Her arrest symbolizes the long-awaited arrival of justice for a community that has endured years of neglect, financial ruin, and exploitation. However, while her surrender marks a significant step in holding Henyard accountable, it also raises many unanswered questions. Some believe her decision to turn herself in is part of a calculated strategy to manipulate the legal system in her favor, potentially negotiating a favorable settlement or protecting others involved in her alleged corruption. These suspicions have only fueled concerns about the integrity of the legal process and the influence Henyard may still exert. Given her extended tenure as mayor, many residents wonder if true justice will ever be served, with corruption deeply embedded within the local government. There is growing doubt about whether she will face the full consequences of her actions. As legal proceedings continue, Henyard's surrender has not immediately provided the sense of closure that many residents hoped for. Her continued defiance and apparent unwillingness to step down as mayor have only intensified suspicions that she may still be trying to manipulate the system. Her presence in office, even as she faces mounting legal challenges, serves as a painful reminder of the corruption, financial devastation, and abuse of power that defined her tenure. Despite the overwhelming psychological toll of her alleged misconduct, the financial devastation left in her wake, and the long and difficult road to recovery, the residents of Dalton remain resolute in their determination to reclaim their town. The path to rehabilitation will not be quick or easy, but it is clear that the community is committed to confronting the corruption that Henyard left behind. Moving forward, the people of Dalton must ensure that future leaders are held to higher standards of integrity and transparency. This is not simply about promises of reform, but about taking concrete actions that prioritize the well-being of the community over personal gain. Dalton now finds itself at a critical crossroads, and the lessons learned from Henyard's downfall must be used to build a more responsible and accountable administration, one that actively works to restore trust in local governance. While Henyard's arrest and public disgrace have not immediately solved the town's deep-seated issues, they have opened the door to a much-needed opportunity for Dalton's residents to heal and rebuild. The town, once mired in scandal and deception, now has a chance to turn toward a future based on honesty, transparency, and ethical governance. The road ahead will undoubtedly be challenging, and the scars left by Henyard's leadership may never fully fade, but they will serve as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance, accountability, and the necessity of demanding ethical conduct from those in power. Whether Dalton can fully recover from this crisis depends largely on the resilience of its people. They must be determined to restore the integrity of their community, fight for real reform, and hold their leaders accountable. While the legal proceedings against Henyard are ongoing, the revelations that have surfaced paint a damning picture of her time in office. The full extent of her actions, both financially and personally, is still being uncovered. However, one thing is clear. The people of Dalton are ready to reclaim their future and begin the arduous process of rebuilding the community they once cherished. The town's future now depends on its ability to learn from the past and ensure that no future administration can exploit its people the way Henyard did.